Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast once again. My name is Mike Parker, your host, and as we always do, we like to introduce you to people who make this place work. And, sometimes that's, the brewers, maybe the chef. And every once in a while, we come up with somebody to be on the podcast that has just the most interesting title in the world. Something like Director of Finance and Administration. If you're not excited over that, I want to welcome in our guest, actually a really incredible guy with a great personality and a fun story, and who lives, breathes, and probably has bled the Appalachian Brewing Company brand for many, many years. I welcome into the studio Mr. Joe Hoover.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me here today.
Joe, thanks for stopping by. Actually, we came to see you because we wanted to start this podcast a little earlier in the afternoon, but Joe's busy. He's got checks to write and checks to cash.
More importantly, taxes. I mean, it is the season.
It is. So it brings me, first of all, we're gonna. So I want to meet Joe because a lot of people who we know the people that listen to our podcast, are ABC fans, the Mug Club members, the regular customers. The people who've been here for a long time, plus new friends, but we know that they know who that guy in the sweater is. Okay, and we're going to talk about Joe Hoover and a little bit about his personality. First question, though, as I say to you, cheers, Joe.
Oh, cheers to you.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Pennypacker Porter. Don't judge me. Normally it's an Argyle sweater, but not this evening.
Okay, Pennypacker Porter. It is, when you hear this podcast, it's February 2020. Pennypacker Porter, a nice, rich, flavorful porter, and it happens to be named after a Pennsylvania governor.
Who was, we're not going to mention it. Well, we are now. But most of the corruption in Pennsylvania started under his guise. But he did get the Capitol built that we now, looks over the brewery itself.
Yeah, so like the main brewery in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the capital of our fine state, is like a hop, skip, and a jump away, and in full viewing of the state capitol. So Governor Pennypacker was a fine soul that we toast to today. So cheers to him. And that's what I have too. This time of year, a lot of people are sort of sipping on darker stuff, porters, stouts. What's your sort of theory on what the best beer is this time of year in the winter?
Well, I like the porter, but year-round it's a sweater. So, and you can never go wrong with a sweater in the summer either.
Argyle sweater is IPA.
Year-round.
Started to bottle that last year.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And we're releasing it in nowish in variety cases. So look for it in your local stores. Okay. So why I like to talk about the stories behind the beers, and it's easy to talk about something like Mountain Lager, which we're Appalachian Mountains, and you got the lager. It's great, but this is a new one. So it started off. It almost has a seasonal background. Like we're like, all right, we're going to try something new. We got to name it. Let's come up with something fun. And the reason why it was actually named is it was inspired by the Director of Finance and Administration, who happens to wear an Argyle sweater if it's part of your fashion. It's impeccable fashion. But if you've ever been to the brewery, the upstairs is pretty cold. And so basically November through April, I wear an Argyle sweater. And, I eat lunch with the brewers most days. So we kid and joke about just about everything. And so they were coming up with a beer recipe. And I'm like, no, we got to make a super hazy, hoppy, New England style IPA. And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. Those things are hot. And then what are we going to call it? And Adam Cole was sitting there. He's like, Hoover's got a stupid Argyle sweater on. Why don't we name it that? The stupid part didn't stick, but the Argyle sweater did. So, in the nutshell, that's the story.
And it's cool because it incorporates a member of the ABC family. We'll get into your history here in a little bit, but like somebody who's been around a while, something you actually we'll see around the brewery. There's a story to it, which is every beer should have a good story. And then when you look at the logo, it's a combination of Joe Hoover's Argyle sweater, his style, but then the Argyle pattern is sort of has been fashioned into hops. So it's pretty awesome, and it's a great beer. I actually participate in a Christmas beer exchange earlier in the year. So the goal is to get about 24 people at your local business wherever you work, and try to get everybody to buy a case of beer. And then if you get 24 people, then some poor soul has to sort all this stuff out. But then everybody gets a different beer, so you get one of each, 24. Well, this year we only got 12 people. So instead of doing 2 per, we had the bright idea of the person sorting it was, we're going to just give the 12-pack back. So it was fine. I got a 12-pack of Argyle sweater still sitting at the house from around Christmas that I've been enjoying, and it's almost done. But anyway, that's the story behind that one. This is the guy, Joe Hoover, from ABC.
Who, ironically, is not wearing an Argyle sweater today.
Not during our taping here.
But you can actually picture me in one, I presume. So
yes.
This is radio.
And he does have a beer, though, so we're halfway there. All right, so Joe, let's learn about you. Let's learn about Joe Hoover. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up locally here in Grantville. I didn't move too far away. I live in Mechanicsburg now, so spent some time out in Pittsburgh where I was born for my undergrad, and ended up back here.
So Grantville is, if everybody knows...
Well, it's the suburbs of Hershey, I like to refer to
it as. It is. It's if anybody knows where Hollywood Casino is in the Harrisburg area, that's the community that Joe grew up in, although the casino was not there when you grew up.
It was not.
No, okay, good. So you grew up sort of in, I want to say rurally, so you're a little bit of a country boy.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, but he moved, he thought he made it here, his career in the big city. But you talked about Pittsburgh College. What's the name of your university?
I did undergrad at Robert Morris University. It's out by the airport.
Okay.
You might have heard of them occasionally. Once in a while, they have a basketball team that does well in the tournament. Yeah,
and they have really uncreative jerseys too that say Robert Morris across the front of them. Right?
Yeah, they're pretty lame.
That's cool. No, that's good. I mean, it's good to know where you did. So you was this the first place you ever worked, or did you find employments elsewhere before coming to the beer world?
I spent a couple years at the AG's office auditing real fun things. Did a tour in public accounting, decided that was not for this guy. And one day I happened to stumble into Artie. Well, not stumble, but he found me, and I've been working here ever since.
So you were a brewery regular, maybe, or you just occasional?
I was an occasional. I had a mug here for several years, and 12 years later, here I am. Okay,
all right. So the brewery's roughly 20 years old, 21 going on 22, or 22 going on 23, something
yeah, 23.
Okay.
I've been here half the time.
So there you go. Half the lifetime of the brewery, you've been sitting in this office. So explain that. So you're sitting. You're I don't want to say a disgruntled state worker or anything like that, but you're in here with your mug club member, and you just sort of get into a conversation, or somebody says, "Hey, aren't you looking for how did you come up with the idea that they actually needed somebody in your position?"
It's a good question. It's hard to remember that, but Artie contacted me one day and, interviewed me and offered me a job right there on the spot.
Wow.
And I proceeded to work for him right on the spot.
All right. So what do you actually do? Is it you're the guy who keeps the books? Or?
I keep the books. I keep HR. I do payroll. I do taxes, legal, compliance. Anything except for brewing beer and cooking food is pretty much crosses this guy's desk.
All right, so in order for all the fun stuff to happen, there's got to be somebody doing some not fun stuff in the background, or do you think it's fun?
You need boring people like me, but I'm pretty exciting.
The best part about doing accounting, I guess, if I could just, I know it's more than that, but most accountants would dream of ending their day going down an elevator into a bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much live the dream. It's fantastic.
All right, so before Argyle sweater became a thing and you were immortalized on a beer label, What are you drinking around the brewery? What's your go-to?
I was a Hoppy Trails guy.
Hoppy Trails IPA.
Yeah. And before that, much before that, was the Porter, which was my first love of ABC.
Okay. And what is that something that do you change with the seasons?
A little bit. I like my Hefeweizen in the summer, get some pistachios maybe, and, crack them and a couple of the Heffies. Into the fall maybe move into a Trailblaze, brown ale. A spring mountain lager, it's refreshing, it's crisp, it's renewing.
It is, especially when it's ice cold.
Oh, only way.
All right, so you're spending a lot of time around the brewery. You've basically, over the past 12 years, you've seen a lot of changes. Is it true they say that the more things change, the more they stay the same, or do you feel like ABC has almost grown up under your watch?
Well, it's grown up under my watch, and I there has to be an adult in the room sometimes to put the brakes on and stop the fun. But we started a growth pattern when I started. We had a Camp Hill location that just opened. We had a Gettysburg location. Both of those are now no longer with us. But we proceeded then to open up Collegeville, Lidditz, Gateway, Mechanicsburg, Shippensburg, and Westchester, and the distillery plant as well. And I don't know if it would have happened as quickly had it been somebody else. Mm-hmm. Or who knows?
It's all right to take a little bit of credit for some stuff. The other part about that is that an evolution of any brand isn't always smooth. There's bumps along the road. And so we're going to take a quick break here as we take another sip of our Penny Packer Porter. When we come back, learn a little bit more about Joe Hoover. We're also going to talk about some of those maybe high points and bumps along the road, as well as Joe's here grown the ABC brand and been a big part of that for the past decade plus. And we're also going to do a little fun thing. We're going to do a little word association, Joe. I'm not sure if you know this, but we worked together for a while, and I've known you for about a minute here. So I have examined your personality. I think we'll have a little bit of fun with that. So we'll do a little bit of, I'll sort of toss a word at you. I want you to react as quickly as possible and see what you come up with. I'll try not to use it against you in the future.
Please don't.
All right. You're listening to the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast, and we'll be right back. All right, let's take a look at the calendar right now when it comes to exciting things happening at Appalachian Brewing Company. First things first, have you taken care of your lady? Have you taken care of your man? Have you taken care of,
your favorite accountant?
Your favorite director of finance and administration? What are you doing for Valentine's Day? That's the bigger question. Valentine's Day is it's halfway through the month of February. It's a short month and it's creeping up quick. Appalachian Brewing Company, great place to head out for date night, for a first date. Try to impress that person in your life. It's also a great time of year for a great winter beer. It's Chocolate Avenue Stout time. February 13th, we're releasing that here company-wide, so wherever your local ABC Brew Pub is, head in, enjoy the rich chocolatey flavors of Chocolate Avenue Stout, and between now and then, make sure to call in, make some reservations for Valentine's Day. Get in, impress, dress to impress, don't come in looking like a bum, you know what I mean, Joe?
Wear your sweater.
Argyle sweaters are encouraged. It's a great time of year. Another thing coming up at the Main Brew Pub in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the second annual Winter Warmer Beer Festival. It is a great time. This year it falls on a date that it can only fall on once every 4 years, February 29th. Winter Warmer Festival. Right now, I know that the count is getting up there, but we've got 15 breweries from across the region that are signed on to come in and sample their beers, ciders, everything else. We're talking every type of variety from IPAs to stouts to sours to the wheats to the beers that I enjoy that maybe have a little bit of like a fruit in them or something, Joe, like something that make you think spring.
But the one thing that is, they'll all be big.
They will all be big. So
to warm you up through the cold winter.
It's sort of that, like, hey, we're going to turn the corner, but we're not quite ready. It's still cold. It's winter time. It's time to have some fun. For 20 years, ABC had a beer festival in the month of September. 2 years ago, that changed, and the new tradition is the Winter Warmer Fest in February. February 29th at Appalachian Brewing Company, 50 North Cameron Street, Harrisburg, PA. To get tickets, go to abcbrew.com, and we'll see you there. All right, and we're back this week with our special guest, Mr. Joe Hoover. And so, Joe, you've seen a lot. So you talked about, the brewery as a business sort of growing up, because I think obviously it's established itself as a craft brewery, sort of an iconic craft brewery in Pennsylvania over the first decade. But then around the time you came in, it's sort of time to we're growing up. We're no longer the new kid on the block, and
we also came out of the recession too, and that was a tough time for everybody. So, it was a lot of learning on the job, and things just weren't the same way that they are now. The restaurants weren't there. You still had a lot of chains, but that landscape has changed over the years. I mean, the city of Harrisburg has 5 breweries within the city of Harrisburg itself. There used to be only 2 of us. So we welcome all of the breweries and the good beer that they bring.
But the city limits of Harrisburg, that's deceiving when you say that, because there's got to be 24 breweries within 10 miles of here. You know what I mean? That's how quickly the industry has changed, and that's how much competition has. And when I say competition, but also just the community has grown.
Oh yeah, the brewery itself is a community. We work on collaboration beers all the time. We just worked on one with Bird's Nest out of Carlisle. Carlisle has, I think, 4 breweries now, and 3 years ago they had 0. So it's amazing how things have just popped up and gone gangbusters for everybody. And it's a really exciting time to be a brewery.
Well, let's talk about what you brought it up. So you're a guy who thinks in dollars and cents. A lot of other people react emotionally to, I want to do this because it's going to be fun. We're going to get them in the door. We're going to start cashing big checks and and then and unfortunately along the way sometimes reality sets in, and you say you have to be the guy who sort of breaks that news to people along the way with a growing business. Pump the brakes, pal.
You definitely need a trusted business advisor to whatever extent, whether it's in-house or external, who's going to give you some insight on best industry practices, or where the market's going, or what's the best option to either lease or buy for your cash flow. Sometimes businesses have that, and sometimes they don't. And I hope that all the small guys out there are able to gather that friend and help them mentor and grow.
God, no wonder you drink. My God. If that's your Thursday. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
I'm just joking. I know exactly what you mean. We all have to live within our means, or things can spiral out of control quickly. And when you have a great idea for a business, when you have a great entrepreneur at the head of that idea, sometimes you need somebody to... When I say pump the brakes, it's not always let's pump the brakes, but it's let's move forward wisely.
Or in a different direction, or reevaluate how we're doing things. Mm-hmm. And it's simple things that, some people, it don't see. It's an extra ounce of French fries on a plate, that you don't think about. But you multiply that times, 300 guests per day and 300 days a year, and that's a fair amount of money that you might be up or down.
And in the beer industry, you're dealing in commodities essentially that always change, like grain and
We contract out most of our grains and hops almost 4 years into the future. We do that with all of our utilities. just so that we have a plan moving forward so that it's stable and we can react to other changes in the market quickly as well.
It sounds incredibly boring when I relate it to this, but like school districts do the same thing with school buses. They say, we're going to pay you this amount of money 4 or 5 years in advance, even though we know that the price of gasoline could go up. It could double over the next 5 years, but we can't afford to fly by the seat of our pants like that.
Or it could go down by double too.
True.
It's a gamble, and it's a known. So you know what you're getting into for that period of time.
All right, so you look around the brewery, and a couple of good examples of like just where we've worked together when I was in, running marketing stuff around here. Like, okay, I want to design a new pint glass. All right, a pint glass, little do we know, is probably one of the most stolen or probably one of the most broken items that can ever come in here. So when you're looking at a pint glass, I'm like, I don't know. The guy quoted me $2 a pint glass, Joe, and I want to order 10,000 of them. That's $20,000. And you're like, your answer to that would be,
well, no. At $2 a pint glass, you're crazy. But I mean, we're looking at purchasing pint glasses over a 2-year period. So we're gonna look at a number closer to 40,000 units and try to drive that price down. From that $2 to $1, whatever.
Yeah.
And use that to our advantage and plan smart.
Okay, because most pint glasses are going to have a life expectancy of either they could literally be dropped the first day that they're used, or that glass could be in the system and make itself quite an investment over the course of a year. Mm-hmm. There's so again, there's a little bit of you're sort of figuring that also somebody might just put it in their purse, and I hate to say that we're not accusing our customers of doing that, but it could also be seen as a marketing tool.
Well, and we always have, and I'm not encouraging anybody to take our pint glasses. No,
but it's a fact of life.
There is a reason why we put our logo on it, and we kind of look at it. You're gonna take it home. You're gonna drink out of it on at least a quasi-regular basis, or you're gonna look at it, and you're going to have that feeling and that memory or
you're gonna remember
of Appalachian Brewing Company every time.
How terrible of a person you are, but you're gonna think about ABC.
And once again, we're not encouraging people to take our pint glasses.
Please don't. It's illegal. It's stealing, and that's a moral thing that we won't get into the legalities of it or anything like that of theft. But morally, we say let's not do that. Let's not steal stuff.
It's not cool.
It's not cool.
It's not a good example for your kids.
But it just sort of goes into I make fun of your title of Director of Finance and Administration. But I don't make fun of it. It's just that it's cooler to say, I'm the chef. I'm Chef Kyle.
Well, Artie said come up with something cool sounding, and for an accountant, that sounded cool.
Yeah. Kyle has good puns too, like it's getting hot in the kitchen, or it's I don't know, it's a little spicy conversation with Kyle, the chef.
I got none.
No, it's all good. All right, so let's talk about those times that have been a little bit bumpy along the way. I know that, we look at ourselves and we say, for instance, the dream, okay, is the Appalachian Brewing Company is named for the Appalachian Trail, which runs Maine to Georgia. And here we are in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where the trail runs through. But like in a pipe dream, we've got brew pubs from Maine to Georgia. Mm-hmm. How that business plan ever come your way? And did you ever say to yourself, this is more what's more realistic? And what's the look on someone's face when you have to tell them, let's pare this back a little?
Well, I love dreams, and I also, crush them occasionally. I mean, there are a lot of things to think about when we're expanding from Maine to Georgia. There are tax considerations, there are legal considerations within how you're operating your entity, how you're producing your beer, the licensing involved. The rent agreements, all sorts of things that it would be a whole lot easier if we just opened restaurants and forgot about them.
Well, everybody thinks, well, I want to, we're gonna expand. I'm gonna do we're gosh darn it, we're gonna line this map with restaurants. Then you start to realize along the way that probably some states may not be as brewery friendly as others.
Well, here's the other thing. We gotta get beer there, so I need it needs to be close enough that our truck can make it there, or we have to find a cost-effective way to get beer brewed there, or ship the beer.
Right.
Shipping beer is not cheap. It's really heavy, especially in big kegs and heavy cases of bottles.
Right.
Each case weighs about 33 pounds.
Yeah.
A pallet of beer. 1,650.
Right, my kids complain every time I make them carry a case of beer into the house. They're like, "Dad, this is heavy." And I'm like, "Well, get me one. And, it'll be a little less heavy by the time we get out of the driveway." No, but so the funny thing about this is I joke about the banker guy, the guy who thinks in dollars and cents as being like the dream crusher. Actually, you're the dream maker because you guys have done so many things, and when you do it the right way, you set yourself up for success. So give me an example or two of probably some of the prouder moments that I know a lot of work goes in behind the scenes. I'm going to take a guess and think that the opening of the Mechanicsburg facility with the soda production facility in the back is probably a pretty big moment for you.
That was a pretty big moment for me.
So take me from the beginning. What was that place? How did that deal even come about?
It was a former Hummer dealership, and we get approached by a lot of people trying to sell us things every day. And I don't hate you salesmen out there, but we get realtors, we get people selling, you name it, they knock on the door. And we do our diligence to see that it's a good deal, or if it's a bad deal, or if it's something we're interested in. If I remember correctly, that this opportunity presented itself to us. At the time, we were busting at the seams here in Harrisburg, trying to produce enough soda out of the brewery along with the beer. And we needed a place to spin off and do some soda. And we approached the city about a couple different places within it, and we just couldn't make it work. But we did find this place on the Carlisle Pike. It had adequate warehousing ability. It had ample room for us to put a brew pub in, and so we moved on it. And here we are, 5.5 years later. We do a bruiser race over there. We put out more soda than we ever have, and we're planning on expanding further. Actually, one of the prouder moments is we just got through a manufacturing certification that allows us access to new distributors with a strict food safety regimen. Personally, I didn't have a whole lot to do with it, but some of the people I work with did, and they put in a lot of time. And it's always great when you accomplish a goal that you set out to get.
It's interesting because 12 years ago, when you started working here, when that job offer came, at the bar or wherever you guys were, you're probably like, oh my God. I remember too when I started working here, thinking to myself, man, like I was the same as you. I was a fan of the brand before I was an employee, and I thought to myself, I remember saying to myself, I'm going to be the marketing director at Appalachian Brewing Company. This is going to be so much fun because I love the product. And so for you, I'm imagining that you're sort of thinking, this is great. I'm gonna deal with beer all the time, and I'm gonna tell all my buddies that I work at a beer place and a brewery, and they make great. And then all of a sudden, 5-6 years ago, it becomes I work for a place that makes a lot of soda. A lot of soda, root beer and birch beer, and the growth of the soda business, the craft soda business, has sort of been crazy.
It has exploded over the years. But also, you can't forget that we are a restaurant as well. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we do three real things, and soon the fourth being the liquor.
Right.
But we make beer, we make great soda, and we distribute it throughout all of Pennsylvania and parts of the Mid-Atlantic.
It's interesting. There would be occasionally a place, certainly people would call up and say, I I was at your brew pub. I flew in for business, from Chicago or where Seattle, wherever they were coming from, and I ended up at Appalachian Brewing Company, and I loved that beer, Mountain Lager. Can you send me a 6-pack? How that happens. You can certainly drive. I don't know what interstate liquor laws are, but if you drove it away, but it's different to ship things. Soda, there's no restrictions on shipping soda, so you can pretty much get it across the country. And there are pockets of the United States where you walk into a specialty shop somewhere and you'll find, Appalachian root beer.
Yeah, we've got a couple great partners who are soda only specialty shops, and North Market Pop Shop being one of them in Frederick, Maryland. They do a great job. They handle all of our fulfillment of soda online. But that's all that they do, and we've been teamed up with them for the last 10 years, and it really is nice that we're able to just we can put it in the mail and send it to somebody, and you don't have to worry about them having being 21 and signing for it, or you can't alcohol shipping is difficult in general, and we avoid it in general. You can't ship it through the postal service. Some LTL carriers won't even touch it. So we rely very heavily on our wholesale network and our customers that come in and buy it from us. We've got a brewery direct program. Some of these guys have been buying beer directly from us since I can remember, which is 12 years ago. They buy a keg and they'll still shoot me an email and let me know that they need a new one.
Yeah, it's actually one of the great joys in life is like buying beer directly from the brewery, in like a keg form, and it just feels good when you cut out the middleman sort of in any. You feel like you're getting a deal.
Well, you really do get a deal, and to be honest with you, years ago I used to load kegs into the cars. not occasionally. Well, occasionally I'll do that now, but you have to catch me at the right time, and I'll give you a hand.
All right. Joe Hoover is our guest today. He knows ABC in and out. He's been a lot of fun to talk to, and we're going to continue to talk to him. A little word association, Joe, when we come back with Joe Hoover and your host, me, Mike Parker. I don't know why. Just figured I'd say my name one more time. On the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast, we'll be right back. Excited to tell you about a special sort of service that's pretty awesome if you're a big fan of Appalachian Brewing Company, and as me and Joe just talked about, a little bit of a way to save money, feel like you're getting a great deal, because in fact you are getting a great deal. It is called Brewery Direct Ordering, and it's available at every Appalachian Brewing Company location. Joe, how does that work?
Well, we can ship to any of our locations. If you're here in Harrisburg and you're lucky enough to stop in, you can purchase beer directly from one of our brewers, basically any time that we're open. But if you're outside the area and you're close to one of our other existing brew pubs, shoot an email to orders@abcbrew.com. We'll simply get a credit card from you, and the next time we're in the area, we'll bring your beer down, and you can pick up at your leisure.
This is a great opportunity because, for instance, I am a cereal orderer. And that doesn't mean I order cereal. I order, you know what I'm getting at. I don't want to say serial killer, but cereal, meaning over and over. That's what it means. Right. So I order beer a lot around the holidays because I have a lot of holiday parties at my house, and it's sort of followed directly by both of my children's birthdays, who are early in the year, and we have family and friends over for birthday parties. So it's nice to have good beer in a nice quantity around the house.
Well, let's not forget we sell soda at Brewery Direct as well.
Of course,
your kids' parties. I mean,
here I am.
You need a keg of root beer for the kiddos.
Let me be honest with you.
Let's pump them up with a little bit of sugar and let them run around the backyard.
We don't serve the alcohol to the kids, but most of the guests at the kids' parties are adults, and the countertop gets cleared several times to be taken out to the recycling. It's sort of more of a gathering and a party in honor of the children. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
Yes, I do.
Other parents of young children out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, Brewery Direct. It's a way to save some money, get your favorite brands of Appalachian Brewing Company's beer and craft soda. You want to email orders at abcbrew.com. Okay, and we're back with our guest, Joe Hoover, this week on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. And Joe, a little word association, my friend.
Exciting.
Okay, so this is the idea here is I'm going to name off, just going to say a word, and as quickly as possible, before I punch you. So that's that's the threshold here. All right, so I'm just going to say a word, and I want you in a couple of seconds to just sort of say something back, the first thing that comes to your mind. And I think these are a few things based on our interview so far and your personality, and don't take any offense. Okay, are you ready?
I'll try my best.
All right.
Do I win a prize?
The prize, Joe, is the pride you will feel upon your answers, depending how good they are.
Oh, they won't be, so.
Or the depression that sets in when people tell you how bad they were. I think we're good. I trust you.
Fire away.
Do you trust me? Let's fire away. All right, here we go. Word association, Joe. Sweater.
What I'm wearing now.
Now, it's more than one word. But okay. Fine.
I don't think you specified.
He is. No, you're right. He is wearing a sweater. Loafers.
Penny.
Lunchtime.
I
told you I was going to punch you.
Oh, I thought you were joking.
No, I don't have one of those shot collars, or I would.
You
Joe, what time do you eat lunch at the brewery? It's got to be the earliest anyone.
11 a.m.
11 a.m. This guy eats lunch every day.
Well, you know why? They used to yell at me. You gotta get in before everybody comes in, or you're eating at like 2 o'clock.
So the brewery, the restaurant opens at 11.
The restaurant opens at 11, and the brewery staff eats at 11:05.
So I knew that you ate early every day, which is why and 11 a.m. I thought you would say 11. Right? He said I don't. It doesn't matter.
I was actually thinking soup and salad or panini or.
All right, Joe Hoover. No, don't say that's not the word. Vacuum.
Dyson Hoover.
I thought you would say
Electrolux.
Hoover. It's definitely Hoover.
Rainbow.
But okay, I'll go with. I guess this guy, man. Money.
Needed.
It definitely is. Tax season.
Almost over.
Almost over. As is our podcast for this setting. Joe Hoover, the Director of Finance and Administration at Appalachian Brewing Company. I want to thank you so much for being with us. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having me, Mike. It's been a good time.
All right. So we want to remind everybody, stop in. It's a great time of year. We're here. Winter is upon us, but we're going to break out of it really soon, and spring will be here soon. But we don't want it to get here too quick. I want to remind you about the Winter Warmer Festival in Harrisburg happening February 29th. And before that, take care of that special person in your life with Valentine's Day. Make the reservations and get in here around February 13th and enjoy some Chocolate Avenue Stout, one of our seasonal specialty beers, company-wide, wherever you like to choose to drink your Appalachian Brewing Company beers near you. All right, everybody, thanks again for tuning in. It's been the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. My name's Mike Parker. Until next time, cheers.